Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Scandal. And whoa, what an episode! It was back to its fiery, fierce self, and I loved it. We started off the episode with Jake walking in a parking lot, going to his car, and he senses something is wrong. He sees this red light under his car, and of course, he starts to walk away from it. He clicks the power button on the remote control, and the car explodes. Yes, Rowan is out to kill Jake. Just like the end of last week's episode where we knew it was game on between the two of them. Well, it has begun. And a few scenes later, we see Rowan sitting on a bench talking to Tom. And Tom is pretty much like, look, I worked under him and he knows my ins and outs and he's on to me. And he's basically saying it's going to be harder than we thought to get rid of Jake. And he's like, look, you need to do it now. Jake Ballard needs to be gone. I was like, oh my God. Rowan is out for blood. Now, of course, this was not the only thing going on in this episode. We get this frantic phone call from Mellie to Olivia when she sets up this nice little dinner date at her house with her and Jake. And she gets this phone call and she's got to leave immediately. Her and Quinn end up at this party, looks like a mini rave in someone's house. And it looks like Karen has gotten herself into a little bit of drama. Who's Karen? Oh, it's only the president's daughter. Yeah, so they figure out an escape plan. They find a way to shut down everyone's cell phones. They get onto the roof of the building. They jump into a helicopter, only to find out that Karen has made a sex tape with two guys who she doesn't even know, and the ish is about to hit the fan. So, of course, this is our way of getting Olivia and Fitz in some scenes together. And as always, the chemistry between these two is ridiculous. Yeah, there are no words. It's like, can he just be done being the president so that these two can just be together? Because all this in between her and Jake, him and Mellie, it's just a waste of time at this point because they are just on fire whenever they're in scenes together. But my only problem with the two of them was the scene at the end when she kisses him and then she tells him that she wasn't away for 2 months by herself, which she alluded to earlier. Well, she didn't allude to it. She basically said she was alone. And of course, they kiss and she pulls away and she's like, no, I wasn't alone. And of course, he realizes that she was with Jake. And then she goes to try to I don't know, reach out to touch him, and he grabs her wrist so aggressively, and I was like, I don't think so. So as much as I liked their scenes together, I was not very pleased about that one. Look, Fitz, can't have it all ways. You can't have your wife, and you can't have your mistress. You can't be mad that she's dating somebody else. Get over it. So, these men and their egos and thinking that they can have whatever they want and she's not allowed to have any other pleasure in her life is just ridiculous. So yeah, Hare and Fitz ended that scene real quick. Now, Olivia was in true season 1 form when she was stomping all over this episode. She was telling everybody what's what. First she gave it to Cyrus, then she gave it to Karen, then she gave it to Fitz, and then she gave it to the parents who were trying to blackmail because they had the video and they were trying to step it up and be like, we want 2.5 million. And they're asking for another 500,000. And they were just getting greedy. And Olivia just flipped the script on them and was like, oh, hell no. I was like, yes, yes, and yes. So that was pretty awesome. But of course, the main storyline here again is Jake going up against Rowan. And it started to come out in this episode that Tom, my favorite, security detail for the president, obviously he's the one who killed Fitz's kid last season because Rowan made him, or that was his assignment. And things are starting to unravel for Tom. And, people are starting to question his timeline, his schedule, why he was clocked somewhere else where he was supposed to be in another place. And now he has to answer some questions. So of course, what the scene that I really did like too was when Rowan and Tom were talking, and he was basically like, "You need to get rid of Jake's stat." Rowan gets up, he walks away, and boom! All of a sudden, Jake sits down. And he's like, "Listen, I know your orders are to kill me." Based on the body language between the two of you, so I should just probably kill you. That would be better for me. And then they try to work out this plan where Jake basically says to him, "Listen, what do you think is going to happen once you get rid of me? Rowan is just going to get rid of you because you're the only other person that knows that he killed the president's son." So he tries to put some doubt into Tom, and he's like, "Well, I can't go up against Rowan, and you can't protect me." He's like, "Well, I have the proof, and if we work together, we can get rid of him." So of course now at the end of the episode when Tom's getting questioned, or he knows that they want to ask him questions, he reaches out to Jake. Jake's like, "Just go, confess, tell them I've got the proof, we'll do this, you'll get the upper hand, and it'll be boom, boom, boom." Of course, he gets into the interrogation room, and Tom's all like, "We're on the record," and they're like, "Yeah," and he said, "Well, I was in this place doing this because I was on assignment," and he's like, "On assignment for who?" And the door opens, and of course, in walks Rowan, and it's like, oh hell no. And the second he sat down, and the second he started acting all big and bad and asking questions, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna pin it on Jake. And he pins it on Jake. Wow. So, of course, Rowan wins this round, and we'll see what happens because Olivia believes her mom did it. Fitz believes Olivia's mom did it. We all know that Rowan did it. And Tom did it under his orders. And now they've taken Tom away in handcuffs. And it's just like, oh my goodness. You have Olivia sitting at her kitchen table staring at an empty seat in front of her while Jake is getting carted off by Fitz's security detail. Just crazy. I did enjoy this episode. There were a lot of good twists and turns. Not a lot of twists and turns, really, but just a lot of good drama going on. And I love the scene, oh my gosh, when Huck and Quinn end up at the White House, and they they bump into oh my goodness, what's her name, who's working at the White House. Well, they call her Red, or Cyrus calls her Red, and basically Cyrus rips her a new one, and he's basically like, "Look, there's going to be a lot of things that happen with the president that you're not going to know about. There's going to be a lot of things that happen with the president that have to do with Olivia. And Olivia, you are not Olivia. And it must suck that you're not Olivia. And all of your, having doubts is your jealousy and your insecurities. He's like, you need to deal with that." And I was just like, oh, damn. Cyrus just brought it to her. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? But that was a really good scene. And then, of course, we had Cyrus and his little fake lover at the top of the episode. I'm really not feeling this. And I would actually think that Cyrus would have done a serious back check on this man already. So the fact that that hasn't happened, I feel like is not realistic to Cyrus's character, because Cyrus is far more meticulous, and he will search things, and he doesn't just fall into things willy-nilly. So I don't buy that he would be hooking up with this man and not have done like a serious background check on him. Oh yes, her name was Abby. I'm sorry. I cannot believe I forgot her name. But yeah, so that whole stuff off the top of the episode, whatever. I just want that to already come out because I'm just not really feeling it. And to see that Cyrus is getting a little bit distracted, that just, to me, that just wouldn't happen. So I just think that that's not a storyline that I'm really interested in watching. Fitz ripping it to Mellie, yikes, that was not a nice scene, but one that really needed to happen because Mellie has been walking around in her little Ugg boots and all disheveled. But I understand she's mourning the loss of her kid, but hello, you have another one out there. And when she finds out that she did a sex tape and was caught in a three-way of her wanting to do it, by the way, she basically says she's basically her father's daughter. Wow. One dysfunctional first family. But then again, she had a really nice conversation with her daughter at the end, and they're both just dealing with, the loss of her brother and her son. So Hopefully Mellie will, snap out of this and get back to her fierce self, because that's the Mellie that I really like to see. Anyways, another good episode of Scandal. Fitz thinking he got his man when clearly he did not. Dude, Rowan is just no good. No good. But we'll see what happens next. And we'll see what happens between Olivia and Jake when will she believe this? I don't know what's going to happen. But can't wait to find out. All right, guys, let me know what you thought of this week's episode, and I'll see you next week.